6 months, cotton prices doubled to over $200 a quintal. Aggressive daily trading saw prices fluctuate by up to $10 a quintal on some varieties.
इस साल सबसे ज़्यादा पिछले 100 साल में इतना फ्लक्चुएट 6 घंटे में 165 रुपए पर मन रुई बढ़ गई ओल्ड मन।
हैवी परचेजेस में इंडिया के बड़े ग्रुप जो एक्सपोर्टिंग है, जैसे मफ्तलाल है, बॉम्बे डाइंग है, अरविंद ग्रुप है, रामालिंगा ग्रुप है, जितने इंडिया के बड़े बड़े नामी ग्रुप कोर्ट्स हैं, उन सब ने पंजाब में एक किस्म का रेड कर दिया रुई परचेज में।
Traders bought over 600,000 bales of cotton forward even before the crop was harvested, on the condition that farmers hold supplies. Their plan was to force farmers to hoard. They thought this would cause panic forward buying by the mills, pushing up prices. But traders were actually betting on a glut. It was fairly simple arithmetic. First buy to hoard, then bid up prices and write contracts with the mills at these high prices. Once the market was in a glut, traders thought they would pick up the commodity cheap and make a killing in the process.
सब विलेज में जो फॉरवर्ड ट्रेडिंग करते थे, उन्होंने सब विलेज में मैसेज भेज दिया, जैसे वायरलेस के थ्रू मैसेज पहुंचता है, भाई नरमा का रेट 3000 रुपीज पर क्विंटल हो जाएगा, 1800 से एकदम जंप करके 3000 हो जाएगा। उसके कारण जमींदार नरमा नहीं लेकर आया।
तो इससे क्या फर्क पड़ा, क्या हुआ मार्केट?
तो जो मिल थे वो रुई लेने के लिए उतावले हो गए, तो वो एक दूसरे से एक जना बढ़ करके आगे रुई लेने लग गया, इसलिए रुई एकदम जंप हो गई।
Pratap Singh Chowdhury is a ginner. His factory processes raw cotton to mill specifications. This year, to make quick gains, many ginners like him lured into the cotton trade small investors like sweet sellers and primary school teachers. Speculators controlled prices by placing agents in the mandis who floated false buy orders to artificially increase prices. Supplies were controlled by paying farmers higher than market rates on the condition that stocks would be collected after a few months. The extra was enough incentive for farmers to hold off market supplies.
ऐसा तो मतलब वो इन्वेस्ट करती है, जैसे 18% इंटरेस्ट मतलब जो है मेन चलता है पंजाब में, तो 18% की जगह उनको 36% की कमाई हो, तो वो 18% की बजाय 36% वाला धंधा करने में ज्यादा रखते हैं विश्वास।
In this market frenzy, some large textile mill owners are alleged to have conspired with their trading colleagues. The Regional Cotton Association in Punjab is headed by a trader who buys and sells for Arvind Mills. Although he refused to meet India Business Report, it is known that he, along with Arvind Mills, bought 40,000 bales worth over $3 million in a forward contract. 3 months before cotton supplies were to arrive in the market, they started short selling, thinking a bumper cotton crop would bring down prices. But exactly the opposite of this happened. The result was traders failed to give deliveries when prices actually increased out of control.
तो इतनी कमी क्रॉप आने से पहले, कपास परचेज करने से पहले ही आ गई कि वो कमिटमेंट ऑनर करना प्रैक्टिकल फिजिबल नहीं था। ऐसा था कि यार जिनिंग फैक्ट्री वाले अगर सौदा भुगताते हैं तो उनकी फैक्ट्रियां भी बिक जाएंगी, तब भी जाके ऑनर नहीं होगा।
The unusual disruption in the cotton market this year was caused by the infringement of a simple law. India's cotton trade is regulated by the Government Forward Markets Commission, FMC. It allows extremely limited trading called Non-Transferable Specific Delivery Contract, NTSC. This means forward deals in cotton can be struck only once. After cotton is bought or sold in a forward deal, it cannot be retraded. Also, physical delivery has to be made as contracted. Ironically, this year, the Forward Market Commission extended the delivery period to 6 months. Traders and mill owners got extra time to sell and resell the same bale of cotton without making deliveries, converting the FMC permission into speculation.
Forward trading is normal. I mean, it's not an abnormal phenomenon. I mean, you have cotton crop is only from October to May, maybe April, May. And you have to buy your entire year's requirements, so you're bound to forward trade.
गवर्नमेंट ने मंजूरी सट्टे की नहीं दे रखी, उन्होंने NTSD की दे रखी है, और फॉरवर्ड मार्केट कमीशन ने नॉर्दर्न इंडिया कॉटन एसोसिएशन को ये NTSD रेगुलेट करने के लिए उसको सैंक्शन दी हुई है, मगर ये बन गया सट्टा।
Neat profit calculations went haywire when pests destroyed the cotton crop, converting a moderate artificial scarcity created by speculators into a real scarcity. Prices jumped out of control to unheard of levels. The only way traders could wriggle out of their commitments was to declare bankruptcy, forcing mills and ginners to arrive at a settlement price different from the contracted one. There must be lessons for the regulators following this year's breakdown in the cotton trade. But there seems little doubt that forward markets need to have better mechanisms to take care of crises, whether caused by man or nature.
This week on India Business Report, will the sale of family land raise enough money to save old and dying textile mills? Will it be a panacea or the kiss of death for the mill's workers? Having survived earlier troubles in soft drinks and snack foods, will Pepsi chicken out over the latest controversy surrounding its fast foods entry? Why is the tiny honeybees industry facing bitter prospects? And shares of the biggest car seller on sale in the new capital market. Hello and welcome. Perhaps it was the fear of trade union agitation in an election year that compelled the government to approve the $6.5 billion modernization plan for the National Textile Corporation, NTC. Every cent of the $6.5 billion revival package will come from the sale of excess land. 36 unviable mills will be restructured into 18 profitable units. 15 dying mills under NTC management will be brought into the stable. But crucially, if only to send out the correct political signals, not one worker will be laid off and not a single mill will be sold or shut down. Such plans have been drawn up before. One in 1992 was shelved. There are irreconcilable differences in the government. The Textile and Labour Ministries want the plan. The Finance Ministry is against it. According to the finance people, these more than 100-year-old mills are beyond repair. Sunita Kaul finds out whether the new NTC plan is just another strategy to buy time.
In the 60s, India's textile industry fell critically ill. Owners refused to invest in modern machinery, siphoning money to new ventures. 1 million jobs were at stake. Faced with a collapse in the industry, the government nationalized over 100 mills by the mid-70s. These old and dying factories were restructured into 9 subsidiaries under a holding company, the National Textile Corporation, NTC. But the remedy proved worse than the illness. The government saddled these hemorrhaging mills with popular schemes to sell cheap, subsidized cloth. A corrupt and unaccountable management added to the losses.
मैनेजमेंट तो पिछले 7-8 साल से मैडम ऐसा है कि टोटल एनटीसी होल्डिंग कंपनी का मैनेजमेंट ही नहीं है। कभी कोई चेयरमैन 2 साल के लिए, कोई 1.5 साल के लिए, और वो भी सारे ओल्ड एज टाइम के ऊपर आते हैं और अपना टाइम काट के चले जाते हैं।
This is the Ayodhya Textile Mill, part of the North Indian Group subsidiary. The government has already spent $9 million on the modernization of the 9 mills in this group. But despite doubling capacity, sales dropped by half last year. Today, most of the 120 NTC mills are in this condition, closed. This mill in the North Indian industrial town of Kanpur produced the country's best canvas on a modern German line. If the government had acted in time, it could have been saved. After reimbursing cash losses for years, the government is now refusing to do so. It has agreed only to pay over $5 million in monthly wages to idle workers. But even that may be happening in fits and starts.
सालों से कोई प्रोडक्शन नहीं है मिलों में। कानपुर की मैं बात कर रही हूँ। यहाँ के जो एनटीसी के कारखाने हैं, इनमें प्रोडक्शन बंद है। मजदूरों को बिना मतलब उनका वेतन उनको मिल रहा है, अब समय से नहीं मिलता है, कभी-कभी 3-3 हफ्ते लेट हो जाता है। त्योहारों के समय पैसा नहीं मिलता है। और अंदर जो कारखानों की हालत है, उनमें चोरियां हो रही हैं, large scale thefts are taking place.
I think the Honorable Minister, with no disrespect to him, Mr. Venkatswamy, should spend a little time visiting NTC mills to see whether A, half the loom sheds can at all be operated upon, B, what do you do about these completely antiquated antediluvian blow rooms? What do you do about cards that are clogged up? What do you do about draw frames that don't work?
The NTC modernization package hinges on the sale of surplus land. This is the 110-year-old Victoria Mill situated on prime land in Kanpur. But the land leased from the provincial government has not been renewed for a decade. The Uttar Pradesh government is now demanding over $30 million to allow its sale. The dispute is already in the court. The objections from opposition-ruled provincial governments have thrown an unexpected spanner in the NTC modernization plan. The Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP government in Maharashtra in West India has already banned the sale of all textile mill land pending an inquiry. This is a major setback. Half the required funds for modernizing the NTC mills were to have come from the sale of surplus land in property-crazy Bombay.
We are investigating the previous transactions that have taken place, which are supposed to be suspicious transactions. We want the things to be transparent, and therefore we want that no such transactions should take place.
Which transactions? NTC transactions or land transactions?
Land transactions. I'm talking about the land transactions which have taken place. Number of mills, the excess land has been sold out. The permissions were given by the previous government. The complaints have been received that those transactions were suspicious.
सारे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का भी प्रॉब्लम है ये कि वर्किंग क्लास जो है बेरोजगार हो जाएंगी तो उन लोगों के ऊपर भी काफ़ी जिम्मेदारी है। वो लोग तो मेरा ख्याल है कि सारे के सारे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हम जो प्लान लिया है उसको कोऑपरेशन करेंगे, ऐसी मेरी उम्मीद है।
Some of NTC's problems are terminal, beyond the reach of money. Even if the mills are successfully modernized for $6.5 billion, what will happen to the workers with obsolete skills? New machines will mean fewer workers, but the government has promised to keep everybody aboard. Will the reborn mills survive the huge redundancy that has been created? What will happen to the mills' accumulated losses, which are 5 times their existing assets? Can the government afford to take on itself NTC losses that have accumulated to $1,300 million? Can these plants be turned around even as private mills are closing down due to increasing cotton prices and competition from the unorganized but highly protected Palum sector? Without answers to these questions, the government could end up throwing good money after bad.
Condition has upset prospective foreign bidders and also those foreign companies whose technologies are already inducted. Perhaps the only way foreign companies and CDOT manufacturers can now operate economically is to forget the past and join hands.
Welcome back to India Business Report. The Indian economy is under a threat of darkness. The country is expected to be short of its peak power requirement by over 20% in 2000. This has forced the government to undo its own monopoly, triggering a power rush of global majors into the country. This has also placed a handful of surviving pre-British Raj private power companies in a unique position. The Calcutta Electric Supply Corporation, CESC, was the pride of Asia in 1899 when it first introduced electric light. Then it fell into disrepair. Now it is again emerging as an eastern powerhouse, but is accused of charging a high tariff. Sonali Khan travelled to Calcutta to file this report.
Ever since its birth, Calcutta Electric Supply Corporation, CESC, has been licensed to generate and distribute electricity to Calcutta and the suburbs. But after the country's independence in 1947, the company was not allowed to add to its generating capacity by a socialist government. That became the preserve of the state electricity boards. With chronic
Today in India Business Day, probe ordered into Reliance duplicate share and share switching issues. Demand for delisting could lead to suspension of scrip across the country. And Bangalore supermarket super success. Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav Behel and you're watching India Business Day coming to you from New Delhi. The Indian government has announced an inquiry into the issue of duplicate shares by Reliance, India's largest private sector firm. The probe will be conducted by the stock market watchdog, the Securities and Exchange Board of India and the Department of Company Affairs. The investigation will also cover the switching of 7 million shares lodged for transfer by the Unit Trust of India and other financial institutions. Reliance has meanwhile announced that it will cooperate fully with the probe. The company was confident it would be exonerated of all charges of wrongdoing. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, has decided that delisting a company from one exchange will result in its suspension from trading on all the exchanges in the country. The decision was taken unanimously on the first day of the 3-day meeting SEBI held with board members of the stock exchanges in Bombay. ABNI's Sunita Kaul spoke to officials who returned to Delhi after the first day.
The meeting, which is to continue till Thursday evening, will look into issues like market surveillance and expansion of the Bombay Stock Exchange online trading system BOLT. The decision on delisting came on Wednesday, but SEBI has put in a rider asking stock exchanges to seek the regulatory body's permission before delisting a scrip.
What is also emerging is that in case any particular exchange wishes to suspend a scrip for more than a day, then they should immediately inform Balanced Stock Exchange in India, so that unless there are some exceptional circumstances, all the exchanges should act in unison and suspend that particular scrip.
Another decision taken at the meeting was that a uniform code has to be followed by all stock exchanges on bad deliveries. This code is in the process of being drafted.
There's a certain set of rules and for a particular particular objection memo in one exchange, it's not applicable in the other exchange. And this is not proper. SEBI now is formulating a guidelines. The same guidelines is applicable to all the exchanges throughout the country.
Stock exchanges are also demanding more powers from SEBI to take penal action against the defaulting company. Before suspending a scrip, other punitive measures are being thought of. A decision on this is likely on Thursday. Sunita Kaul, ABNI.
Today on India Business Day, inflation hits a 10-year low. Private banks beat the nationalized giants in raising deposits. And hard times in the valley. Militancy is killing the Kashmiri economy. In winter, when agriculture is difficult, Kashmiris used to make a living from handicrafts like carpet weaving. But secessionist violence has scared away tourists and buyers. Now they have to depend on customers outside the state. But that's not easy, as ABNI's Sunita Kaul found out recently.
This carpet weaving centre at Nihalpura, 40 kilometers from the capital Srinagar, belongs to Abdul Ghani. He says he sells around 5 carpets a year. Before militancy disrupted everyday life, he used to sell twice as much. Yarn has become expensive and tourist traffic has declined. With few customers, he has to rely on middlemen who find his predicament appropriate for a bargain.
Because of the decline in tourism, the people who were earlier engaged in handicrafts and handlooms, they are, they have been forced into kind of situation where they have to beg for jobs or become laborers, agricultural laborers or laborers in the rural employment schemes.
Even agriculture is not immune to trouble. Kashmir has little industry. It has to import manufactured products. Strikes and curfews have pushed up the cost of agriculture. With traditional occupations becoming unremunerative, the ranks of the jobless have swelled. Some have taken to extortion. The headman of this village lost a son to militants. He found the body after 9 months. The destruction of common property like bridges has made living expensive. This resident of Bemina says he has to pay 20 rupees instead of 1 rupee as fare to Srinagar after a bridge was destroyed. This girl says it is tiring walking to school, but her folks won't let her stay at home. The lack of civil administration and denial of basic amenities weighs on Kashmiri minds, but militants accept it as a necessary price for independence.
Here is a war-like situation and you are asking us that it will heal your wound if Indian government will provide you with some kind of economical concessions.
No, but something has to be done about the economic...
No, nothing can be as long as we will not achieve our goal.
Even after enduring a decade of economic hardship, an independent Kashmir does not seem near. The central government is spending 190 million rupees on Chirag-e-Sharif to rehabilitate those who suffered when the famous shrine here was burnt down. But government dole cannot last and may not be the answer. Sunita Kaul, ABNI.
Today on India Business Day, Supreme Court stays the award of telecom licenses, but uproar in Parliament continues. Politicians want a high-level probe into Reliance, and a small toy company looks at Japan to hit big time. The controversy over duplicate shares issued by Reliance Industries and its recent switching of shares of Unit Trust of India has spilled over to the political arena. Opposition members of Parliament want a high-level investigation ordered. But the government has yet to make its stand clear. ABNI's Sunita Kaul reports.
Reliance is a company that has always aroused political emotions, but now its troubles are doubling every day. Even before the issue of duplicate shares could subside, it was hit by the share switching episode with a vengeance.
Public opinion is becoming stronger and their delinquency and illegitimacy have come to the surface more than before. I expect them to be penalized, according to law, of course.
And if we have the leader of the market engaging in even apprehensions, leave alone proven instances of engaging in unauthorized duplicate shares, then both investor confidence as also the health of the capital market of the country is eroded. And if that happens, then the entire economic reform program is going to be retarded.
Political parties are worried that the duplicate share issue may not be limited to Reliance. Other companies could also be involved and the malice could be deeper. Even the ruling party members want an investigation.
And at the same time, our demand in this respect is that this duplicating shares is with Reliance, and there is a rumor that it is almost if every other company.
Whether they are corrupt or not, that's what I said. They should hold an inquiry by a sitting Supreme Court or a retired Supreme Court judge.
With an inquiry by the Securities and Exchange Board of India underway, some of the facts on the duplicate share issue may become public soon. What is known is that Reliance had issued a second set of shares to one of the doctors of the promoters even when the original shares were in circulation. Reliance said it was an accident and that the shares were not issued with any malicious intent.
If this violation of law becomes the norm, then the whole question, the whole thesis of unintended falls apart. Thirdly, the numbers involved are really staggering. The volume involved is staggering.
Members of Parliament are getting restless. The Reliance issue could be the next one to hit the government. This could come as soon as some semblance of order is restored on the other issue, the telecom privatization program, which paralyzed Parliament for more than a week. Sunita Kaul, ABNI.
Today on India Business Day, Bombay Stock Exchange shoots past the 3,600 point mark. Government wants polls in Kashmir, but militants still refuse to oblige. And Haldia Petro delayed again. The mega project will go on stream by 1998. The central government wants to hold elections in the state of Jammu and Kashmir after a gap of 6 years. But the initiative is opposed by the most representative group of the militants, the All-Party Hurriyat Conference. ABNI's Sunita Kaul reports from Srinagar on the views on elections in the most troubled state in India.
A high-level delegation led by Minister of State for Home Affairs Sipte Razi visited Kashmir last week. He was accompanied by prominent Jammu and Kashmir Congress Party members. According to the minister, elections in the valley are just a matter of time.
In July 90, the president rule was imposed in this state. Everything has its own limits. That limits, I think, have been crossed. And without a popular government, many problems could not be solved. There are so many problems in this state.
Even as the government prepares for elections, local leaders backed by militant organizations operating in the valley are getting ready. Grouped under the political umbrella of the All-Party Hurriyat Conference, these leaders are unanimous that there can be no elections without settling the Kashmir issue.
Within the framework of Indian Constitution, कोई इलेक्शन तब तक नहीं हो सकता है जब तक कि मसले कश्मीर का हल ना हो जाए। हुर्रियत ने फैसला किया कि हम किसी भी इलेक्शन में हिस्सा नहीं ले लेंगे जो खाली सरकार बनाने के लिए हो।
Anything can be happen because we will go to any extent to make that any kind of any nonsense process ineffective, which will be detrimental to this ongoing freedom movement, because it is totally against the wishes of the people of Kashmir. And any kind of election which will be held within the framework of Indian Constitution, it will be an election without voters.
Leaders like Shabir Shah and Yasin Malik are supposedly popular in the valley. Their militant background could force even those who don't support them to stay away from elections. But the central government is confident that local militancy is on the decline. This confidence may stem from the fact that the government has been able to encourage the creation of breakaway factions from Pakistan-backed Hizbul Mujahideen to counter the hold of militants. Recently, 4 of these splinter groups expressed their willingness to hold talks with the central government on the elections.
There is a lot of infighting between the militants group themselves. There is fighting between Hurriyat. They are accusing each other that they have bungled with a lot of money. Their standard of life has been changed. And that is our strength also, that they themselves are exposing each other.
But now all those irritations are over, because all the militants who had no ideological base, who had joined the militancy just for the sake of money, just for the sake of extortions, all those people have been won over by Government of India, by Indian intelligence agencies. Now, so far as the militancy, real militants, Mujahideen are concerned, they have got no fighting amongst themselves.
According to army officials who did not want to be named, many members of the Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front are now government informers. The JKLF supports independence for Kashmir, but their members have now become targets of the alleged Pakistan-backed Hizbul Mujahideen, which wants Kashmir's accession to Pakistan. The JKLF is not willing to support elections either, although the group accepts that there is a rift with Hizbul Mujahideen.
People are dying, and we will die. And I will be the most happiest person, because we have decided either the Kashmir will become the graveyard of martyrs, or it will emerge on the globe as a human living country. There is no third alternative for we people.
There is hardly any widely accepted leader or party which can narrow down the differences between